So everybody knows storage is growing, and storage growth is a problem for everyone. I'm going to make a little bit of a controversial point here, which is to say, actually, primary storage, the hot storage that's really driving most of your IOs, is shrinking. So that's the storage here on the histogram that's less than 30 days old. It's the email you wrote this morning. It's the PowerPoint you saved yesterday and are modifying again today. That's actually shrinking. What's growing is the nearline storage of stuff that hasn't been accessed that much just recently. Now, historically, people weren't really able to separate these things out, so it all just got stored in one big pool of disk. The key thing to understand is as we get more sophisticated about being able to make tiers, you'll find that in that tier 1, the actual hot primary storage, your storage requirements are going down. What you need to optimize for here is performance. What you need to optimize for here is dollars per terabyte and terabytes per admin. In other words, this is where the bulk of your storage is, this is where the bulk of your cost is, and you want to optimize for reducing that cost. For this small amount of storage, you'll be starting increasingly to look at technologies that will make it go faster. So let's give an example of how this actually works in the real world, the histogram. So we have the amount of I/O and we have time. Let's think about a website that hosts people's content, whether you're uploading photos, you're uploading videos, you're storing your files there, you're posting messages to a social network. Here's what happens. You upload that photo, you send links to your friends, so maybe they look at it. You order a print or a t-shirt or a mug, so some I/O happens. After a couple of weeks, nobody's looking at that photo very much anymore. You know, it might come along here, and a year later you'll order a photo for a birthday party, but this is what happens with the histogram. There's a high level of activity when you upload. There's a pretty predictable time frame where people are going to be looking at that video or reading that email or printing that photo, and then there's a pretty drastic drop off. And this is the point at which you're going to want to start looking at doing storage optimization techniques. Once you hit that drop off in a given place, that's where you're going to want to have the opportunity to shrink those files to save money. So optimizing files or storage for online data is quite a bit different than doing data reduction for backups. And people will talk a lot about data deduplication as the hot storage reduction technology, but there's some things that are really quite different between what's right for backups and what's right for online storage. To give one example, when you're backing up, you have to move all the data from your primary storage to the backup storage in the backup window. So the performance metric is throughput. How much can I move from point A to point B in that backup window? When you think about optimizing storage for online use, that's not an interesting metric. The interesting metric is my user or my application goes to access a file that was optimized. What's the response time for getting access to that? So some of the big debates that you've seen in dedupe don't apply or apply in different ways for online storage. So you hear the argument in-band versus post-processing. And you hear the argument zeros and ones versus content aware. And really, I have no opinion whatsoever on what the right answer of that is for dedupe or for backup. People say, well, in-band is better for hitting the backup windows. Zeros and ones are good enough for doing data reduction for backups. Might be true. But for online storage, you have to be content aware because most of the files that are making up online storage growth today are already compressed. If you're not able to decompress and understand those files, you won't be able to reduce them. And similarly, because the focus is on response time and latency, the main thing is not how long it takes to do the data reduction, it's on how long it takes to access it after you do that. So the right answer for online, again, is post-processing. And this is the place where you have to be to do the right job in optimizing online storage. These other places, they might be the right thing for backup, but for online, it's up here.